a number of books in Understanding by Design series, and here are their differences and how they can be used. The basic book is entitled Understanding by Design. It's an expanded second edition. This book is well suited to people who really want to understand the underpinning ideas of UBD, who are interested in the underlying research and the conception that underlies this framework. Second book in the series is the Understanding by Design Professional Workbook, and this is really the practical embodiment of UBD. The workbook contains a number of what I call design tools and templates for planning, many examples from different subjects and grades, various process ideas for how do you review a UBD unit to get it better, and some ideas that can be used in workshops for teachers. Third book in the Understanding by Design series is one in which I co-wrote with Carol Tomlinson, and it looks at understanding by design and differentiation, or differentiated instruction. We think that this is a marriage made in heaven. Understanding by design is essentially a curriculum and assessment planning framework. Differentiated instruction talks about ways of teaching that address and accommodate the variety of learners we serve. So we think the combination of planning and assessing for understanding and differentiated instruction to help develop understanding is a perfect mix. This book integrates those two frameworks. Two more recent books in the series are called the Understanding by Design Guides. Essentially, Part 1, Guide to Designing High-Quality Units. Part 2, an Advanced Design Guide. The design guides were developed because they fit a niche in UBD. You can read the Understanding by Design basic book, but it doesn't give you a lot of practical ideas. You can look at the UBD workbook, and it has lots of examples, but really no guidance on how to use them. So the Understanding by Design guides, Part 1 and 2, fill that gap. These are particularly well suited to individual teachers who want to work through UBD, but may not have access to a workshop or a course. It's also especially useful for schools that want to have a study group or even an entire faculty explore the ideas of UBD. So going through the guides, they get some text and directions, but they also have the design tools and many examples. And so you can really work to learn UBD essentially on your own using these guides. The final two books that we have presently include the book Schooling by Design. Somebody described Schooling by Design as Understanding by Design on steroids. Schooling by Design is really written for a school or district use of Understanding by Design. The UBD design guides are focused on unit planning at the teacher level. Schooling by Design looks at how might we organize all of our units in a collective and coherent curriculum that works across the grades and across the subjects. To use an analogy, Schooling by Design describes a curriculum blueprint that guides the building of individual rooms and floors in the house. We wouldn't just drop off building supplies at a job site and say, okay, third grade team, build something, and eighth grade teachers build something. We'd have a blueprint. Schooling by Design describes the blueprint to coordinate the various units of study and floors in the house, if you will. The other idea in Schooling by Design is it takes the notion of, quote, backward design, a curriculum planning process, and suggests that that process can be used for planning any school initiative beyond UBD. And so school leaders have found that they can use backward design for planning anything, and in so doing, they're modeling the very process that they want teachers to use when they plan. The final book to date, 2013, is a more specialized book on essential questions. Essential questions is a big part of Understanding by Design, curriculum planning, and teaching. And so we've written a book that focuses particularly on this topic. In the book, we explore questions like, what is an essential question? How do you know if you have one? What are the different types of essential questions? How big should they be? How small should they be? How do you use essential questions on a practical, day-to-day basis in your teaching? And how do we frame our curriculum more generally about essential questions that spiral across the grades and build the intellectual through lines? into a coherent curriculum. We think it's a very practical, thought-provoking book, and it's the most recent in our series.